The Backwater Gospel. This is a YouTube animation that is based in the small desert town of Backwater and was posted about 13 years ago. The reason I'm talking about this now is because I believe so many good videos from the past are just kind of swept under the rug and forgotten by time. There are so many good animations on this platform, whether it's just computer animated or even stop motion. And I want to talk about them. So maybe a younger audience will search out some of these videos and really try to think about what message these videos are trying to tell. And I am aware that some other videos have explained the Backwater Gospel in the past, but people can have different interpretations, and I want to throw my hat into the ring and give mine. Also, this video was 8 years ago, so I don't know, I feel like I've gotten enough time to let that video breathe for a little bit. The animation of the Backwater Gospel has a very unique sort of art style. The old-timey look and the layers that they put over each shot is one to behold. Each character has a unique look to them, and there's a video on the making of the Backwater Gospel if you'd like to look into it more. The voice cast, even though the animation is only 9 minutes long, does a very good job conveying the emotion behind these characters. The voice actor for the minister did an especially good job in making me hate that character, and wanting him dead. So kudos to Lucien Dodge for that. Anyway, this short animation has a very interesting message to tell. The story starts with some poor, nameless soul working on a power line, and then he sees crows surrounding him as he falls to the Undertaker's feet. The Undertaker is a very obvious representation of death, as to wherever he goes, people just kind of die. Everyone in the town knows this, as you'll see later on, but then the scene cuts to a character called the Tramp, who is voiced by Zebulon Whatley, and is the songwriter and singer in this animation. The Tramp is an amputee that seems to live in some broken down car in front of a church on a hill. We see him singing his song as the minister walks out. The bell on the church rings and the people trudge to the church. They almost seem like zombies as they walk, and the nightmarish score plays in the background. The minister then calls out to the Tramp and he says,
"Submit to the Lord!"
Why don't you try it?
So we can already see here by the little actions that he does beforehand that the minister is not exactly a godly man, and the Tramp seems to know that. Even on his guitar, it has a marking that says, "Those poor bastards," which could mean that he knows that the people are being misled and feels sorry for them, even though they obviously don't treat him with any respect. Next, the minister is preaching to the townsfolk about how one bad apple can spoil the whole barrel and whatnot. Which is ironic, because in this case, he is the bad apple if you look at the story. The Tramp then interrupts, saying the Undertaker is coming to town. Everyone is then thrown into a panic, running home and boarding up their windows and doors. 7 long days pass of people wondering why the Undertaker is here and who he's there for. They don't dare to even try and leave their homes. After 7 days of going insane with worry and alcoholism, people sharpen their knives and pitchforks and head to the church when they hear the bells ring 7 days later. They then all walk into the church and the minister says that they are suffering because
That son of perdition refuses to fear the Lord!
Which, by the way, the Sons of Perdition is the band that made the song that the Tramp sings at the beginning of the animation and the credits, and also perdition just means eternal damnation. Anyway, they then charge out and blame the Tramp for their misfortune. One thing to note here is that the Tramp doesn't really seem to care that the Undertaker is here. When everyone else is hiding from him, the Tramp just seems content just kind of sitting in his presence. And when the townfolk are chasing after him, he is running towards the Undertaker. That could mean that he doesn't care about dying, he's more scared of the townsfolk, but that's really up to interpretation there. And unfortunately here, this is where the Tramp meets his end, and a quick warning with things as they go forward because it does get a little bloody from here on out, so if you are squeamish, you might want to skip ahead in the video just a bit. It then cuts to the Undertaker, who doesn't do anything. The people stand there with bated breath and wait. It starts to storm, pouring down rain in this wasteland of a town. The tension hits a boiling point and everyone starts to turn on one another. Some kills in this sequence are a little bit ridiculous, but I digress. The big boy, who I forgot to mention earlier, is named Bubba, of course, and he realizes that the reason that this is all happening is because of the minister. As he charges at him, we see the minister fumble back and reveal a gun located in his hollowed-out Bible. This is amazing symbolism, because it shows that the words the minister are preaching were just that. Hollow. He doesn't even believe in what he's preaching. He's just doing it so he can control these poor townsfolk who he leads astray for presumably his own benefit. After all the blood has been shed and it stops raining, as it slowly pans out, we can see a rainbow behind the church, and the Undertaker starts to take measurements of all the deceased. Also, did you notice how the tramp is laying down? It's almost like it's alluding to a certain person.
Hey, you are my body. Hey, you are my body.
The answer was Jesus, by the way. I don't know if you picked up on that. Anyway, I don't believe this to be a tale about how Christianity is bad, not at all. I myself am a Christian, but it is a cautionary tale about false prophets/preachers. People who will lead the gullible away from the truth and try to spin some false narrative that benefits their wants. God is a loving and just being, so we as humans who believe in him shouldn't fear death in any way, especially as much as the townspeople do. However, since the minister has spun the narrative that way, the people do believe it, and it causes them to listen to whatever he says to try to avoid death and suffering. However, that doesn't exactly mean that they are completely blameless in this matter, because they do still end up stoning and killing the tramp. And unfortunately, bad people who claim to be Christians leading people away from God do exist in the real world. However, them just going to church isn't exactly some get out of jail free card, so when you die, you can say to God, hey, I lived a bad life, but I went to church, so I can get into heaven, right? In the Bible, it says, not everyone that says to me, Lord, Lord, shall enter in the kingdom of heaven, but he that does the will of my Father which is in heaven. Many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name, and in your name have cast out devils, and in your name done many wonderful works? And then I will profess to them, I never knew you. Depart from me. You work with iniquity. That was Matthew chapter 7, verses 21 through 23. If you want to go read it for yourself, I highly recommend you do so. Anyway, the minister throughout this whole short can be seen using Bible verses out of context. For example, when the townsfolk are about to stone the tramp, he says,
Let he who is without sin cast the first stone.
This is what Jesus said to the Pharisees when they brought a woman who committed adultery to him, and he said this line to show that because we as people sin all the time, there is no one who is faultless, so no one has any right to judge others. The townsfolk don't see it that way, and they think they're perfect just because they go to church every Sunday, so they are completely blameless in any matter. The tramp represents Jesus in this story, as stated before, as someone who was killed because others thought of him to be the source of all their problems. To wrap this up, I believe it is our job as Christians to be skeptical of people who try to convince us of one thing or another when it comes to making life-altering decisions. It says in Matthew chapter 10, verse 16, Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. This is telling us to be wise in our decision making and be pure with our intentions at the same time. Make your own choices on your own research and make those decisions for yourself, or else one day someone with a silver tongue might make those important decisions for you. Hey, just real fast, I wanted to thank my youth pastor just for helping me come up with some ideas for this video. When I was sending this video to him, I was kind of nervous about him watching it just because of, well, there is some interesting stuff that goes on in this, and sending it to my own youth pastor might have I don't know, it might have gotten me in trouble or something, but it didn't. He was really cool about it, so thank you very much if you are watching this for that. I don't know if you want me to say your name. I'm not going to say it just for the sake of, privacy reasons, but thank you so much. Also, I would like to thank my friends for helping me come up with some ideas for the actual video itself. Thank you guys so much. You guys are the best. Also, just another thing real quick, the background noise for this whole video is from a game called Hunt Showdown. I hope they're okay with me using this in the background. I don't really know how YouTube guidelines work, so hopefully that'll be okay. All right, bye.